What if I told you that thousands of people paid thousands of dollars for the most glamorous music festival ever promised, only to arrive and find disaster tents, cheese sandwiches, and chaos in the sand? This is the unbelievable story of Fyre Festival, the event that was supposed to redefine luxury entertainment, but instead became one of the most infamous scams of the decade. Led by Billy McFarland, a smooth-talking entrepreneur, and backed by rapper Ja Rule, Fyre was sold as a once-in-a-lifetime experience on a private island in the Bahamas. Models, celebrities, and influencers hyped it as the ultimate party for the rich and famous. But what unfolded wasn't just a failed event. It was a spectacular collapse that exposed greed, deception, and the power of social media illusions. Billy McFarland had always been chasing big dreams. Even as a teenager, he was the kind of person who thought more about possibilities than limitations. By his early 20s, he had already launched several ventures, each wrapped in bold promises of innovation and exclusivity. Some of these projects gained attention, while others quietly fizzled out. But a pattern was already forming. His companies weren't built on solid foundations. They were built on hype, exaggeration, and the ability to sell an idea more convincingly than anyone else. What Billy lacked in long-term strategy, he made up for in charisma. He had a knack for making people believe in him, no matter how thin the details of his plans might be. Investors were drawn to his confidence, mistaking it for competence. He painted pictures of a luxurious lifestyle that people wanted to be part of, and for a time, that illusion worked. To his backers, he wasn't just another entrepreneur. He was a visionary chasing the next big thing. But beneath the charm was a dangerous flaw: promises that were always bigger than reality. Billy wasn't merely selling products, he was selling fantasies. And like all dream sellers, the higher he climbed, the harder the fall would be. His boldest, and ultimately most disastrous creation was about to emerge. A project so ambitious, it would capture global attention before collapsing in flames. The infamous Fyre Festival. The idea of Fyre Festival was unlike anything the entertainment world had seen. It was marketed as more than a music event. It was a lifestyle, an experience of pure luxury set against the backdrop of a tropical paradise. The chosen location, a private island in the Bahamas once said to belong to Pablo Escobar. That single detail gave the festival an air of danger and exclusivity that instantly caught the world's attention. Billy promised the impossible. Guests would enjoy performances by world-class artists, feast on gourmet meals prepared by celebrity chefs, and stay in private beachfront villas or even luxury yachts. Sun-soaked days would be followed by glittering parties at night, filled with influencers, celebrities, and the wealthy elite. The marketing campaign leaned heavily on social media, using Instagram as the stage for its grand illusion. Supermodels like Kendall Jenner and Bella Hadid posted alluring images from the island, making Fyre Festival look like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The effect was electric. Within days, the event went viral. Tickets, ranging from a few $1,000s to more than $100,000 for VIP packages, sold rapidly. For those who bought in, attending Fyre Festival wasn't just about music, it was about status. It was the golden ticket to paradise, a chance to live inside the fantasy Billy McFarland had promised. But behind the glossy images and glamorous advertising, the truth was far less appealing. There were no villas, there were no yachts, and the island itself was woefully unprepared to host an event of that scale. Yet, as money poured in and excitement grew, Billy doubled down on the illusion. While social media painted a flawless picture of luxury, the reality in the Bahamas was spiraling out of control. The island had almost no infrastructure to support the thousands of guests who were expected to arrive. There weren't enough roads, housing, or even basic utilities to manage the event. Organizers scrambled in desperation, hiring local workers and rushing to prepare the site. Instead of luxury villas, workers erected rows of white disaster relief tents, the kind normally reserved for hurricane victims. Furniture was scarce. Power was unreliable. There was no plan for sanitation or clean water on the scale required. As for food, the gourmet dining experience promised in glossy ads never materialized. Guests who had paid tens of thousands of dollars were handed soggy cheese sandwiches in styrofoam containers. Behind the scenes, artists and performers began pulling out, unwilling to risk their reputations on a festival that clearly wasn't ready. Flights of excited guests arrived expecting paradise, only to find chaos, unfinished construction, luggage thrown haphazardly onto the sand, and a site that looked more like a refugee camp than a luxury resort. And yet, even as the disaster grew unavoidable, Billy McFarland refused to admit the truth. Instead of pulling the plug, he kept selling the dream, convincing investors and staff that everything would somehow work out. The illusion was collapsing in real time, and thousands of paying customers were about to become unwilling participants in one of the greatest event disasters of modern history. April 2017. The long-awaited day arrived, and guests who had paid thousands of dollars for the ultimate luxury experience stepped off planes into what should have been paradise. Instead, they walked into chaos. What greeted them was not a tropical wonderland of music and glamour, but a half-built campsite that looked closer to a disaster zone. The luxury villas they had been promised were nothing more than rows of white FEMA disaster relief tents left flapping in the wind. The gourmet meals showcased in glossy ads had been replaced with the now infamous cold cheese sandwich in a styrofoam box. The stages were unfinished, artists had pulled out, and luggage was tossed onto the sand like lost cargo. Instead of yacht parties, guests found themselves stranded with no transportation, no accommodations, and no clear answers. As soon as the first images hit Twitter and Instagram, the story exploded across the internet. Within hours, the festival that had been sold as the most exclusive event on Earth was being mocked as one of the greatest disasters in entertainment history. Hashtags trended worldwide, memes spread like wildfire. The phrase, "the greatest party that never happened," cemented itself in popular culture almost instantly. What was supposed to be the ultimate luxury experience became the ultimate cautionary tale. Billy McFarland's empire crumbled, not behind closed doors, but in the full glare of social media, exposed minute by minute for the world to see. His dream festival had collapsed into a global punchline, the perfect symbol of unchecked hype culture and the dangers of selling fantasy without substance. The aftermath was brutal. Guests sued, investors demanded answers. Within weeks, Billy McFarland faced a mountain of lawsuits worth over $100 million. Authorities investigated, and what they uncovered painted a damning picture. Billy hadn't simply been overambitious, he had lied. He had fabricated documents to convince investors their money was safe, exaggerated the resources he had access to, and promised things he knew could never be delivered. It wasn't just poor planning, it was fraud. In 2018, federal prosecutors charged Billy with multiple counts of wire fraud. The trial revealed a pattern of deception that extended far beyond the Fyre Festival itself. Witnesses testified that he had misled everyone around him: partners, employees, investors, even friends, always spinning grand visions that had no basis in reality. His celebrity partner, rapper Ja Rule, distanced himself and claimed ignorance, but the damage had been done. For the court, Billy McFarland became the face of one of the most spectacular frauds in entertainment history. The young man who once promised the world an unforgettable luxury festival was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison. His fall was as dramatic as his rise. Only now, the charisma that once attracted millions was replaced by a reputation stained with scandal. The collapse of Fyre Festival was more than a failed event. It became a cultural touchstone, a mirror reflecting the excesses and illusions of the digital age. At its core, the disaster exposed how easily perception can be manipulated in the era of social media. A few carefully staged photos, a handful of influencers, and a barrage of empty promises were enough to convince thousands of people, including wealthy investors, to buy into a fantasy. It also revealed the power and the danger of influencer culture. Models and celebrities had posted glowing endorsements without ever questioning the product they were promoting. Millions believed the dream simply because it looked perfect on Instagram. When the reality surfaced, it was too late. The fallout inspired documentaries, news specials, and endless online debates. Fyre became shorthand for overhyped failure, a cautionary tale that warned an entire generation to be skeptical of glamorous marketing campaigns. It highlighted the importance of due diligence, transparency, and accountability in both business and media. And what of Billy McFarland? After prison, he has already hinted at a comeback, speaking publicly about his next big ideas. but his reputation is forever tied to Fyre. The lingering question remains: has he truly learned from the disaster, or will history repeat itself with yet another dream sold on nothing but smoke and mirrors? The story of Fyre Festival isn't just about tents, cheese sandwiches, or stranded guests. It's about the dangers of unchecked hype, the fragility of trust, and the price of chasing illusions. If you found this story of the greatest party that never happened fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest scandals and disasters of our time.